Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, January 9th, 2024 regular business meeting of the Olympia City Council. For the record, we have a quorum with all council members present, including our newest council member who's now seated. Couple of announcements, actually just one. We have an update for you on what has happened since we have parted ways with TC Media, and we now have our own station called Oli TV. This was about 6 months in the making, so 6 months of work that has culminated, and they had it ready for us to go live for our first meeting last week. So we're very grateful to our staff for all of their tireless work to get us to this moment. And so here to speak more about that will be our Strategic Communications Director, Kelly Purse-Brassett. Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor Payne. Council members, for the record, my name is Kelly Purse-Brassett. I'm Strategic Communications Director for the city, and I'm here to give you a brief update on the city's work to establish and manage its own cable access channel. As of January 1st, 2024, the City of Olympia is its very own designated service provider for government and education access. As you mentioned, that role was previously served for the city by TC Media. It's been less than 6 months since we've been on this journey. Around August, we began the process. When I talked to my staff about it, because it is kind of overwhelming, because none of us has ever started a TV channel before. It's a gigantic pizza. And we have to eat our way through it, so we start at the pointy end of a slice. So for us, the pointy end, and my staff hear me talk about it all the time, what is the continuity of live broadcast of council meetings on Channel 3. We purchased, I'll just leave that up. We purchased a system from Castus to allow us to live stream and cablecast content. The system installation was completed on December 19th, 2023. That was your last meeting of the year. And we broadcast our first live council meeting on Channel 3 as our own designated service provider on January 2nd. It's been a wild ride. We're still testing the system, refining, learning the system, figuring out what all the buttons do, and learning and finding new things, cool new things that you'll see. So where we stand today, we are broadcasting in standard definition on Channel 3 as we speak. We have launched Oli TV 3, our web portal where you can watch council meetings live or on demand. As you can see, I can do this. You can watch live, and it has videos and council meetings that you can come back, including our latest council meetings. So we're pretty proud of that. We are also able to live stream, or we're working the bugs at it, but the community should be able to come directly to our website, and on our webpage, where it used to say data, we've turned it to watch, so you should go and you should be able to live stream what's going on. Like I said, we're working on it. This is what it looks like right now. I won't run it because I think we'll have some kind of inception thing where I'm on TV and you don't want that. So we're just going to have a pretty picture right now. So, all right. So things that we're excited about that's to come. We're very excited about the ability to add more accessibility to our information and to the meetings. We will be able to, once we find the correct button, live caption the meetings. That's part of our learning and refining the system. It's a function that we have. Like I said, the pointy end of the pizza was getting the image on the screen. That's all I wanted. We also will have the ability to do some translation functions for folks. So they will be able to, the live caption will be in Spanish or something. Also on the way, mobile apps for Apple and Android phones. We're working on the copyright agreement right now through legal, and then it will take several weeks to work through Google and Apple Store's approval process. When that's done, the community and you all will be able to download the Oli TV app on your phone and view meetings live or on demand from there. We also will be getting a Roku channel. That's the thing I'm most excited about. So, yeah. And then after all this technology, we're adding on and learning and refining and mastering our technology, then we get to do original content. And that's what we're really excited about, because it's an opportunity to tell the city's story in a way we never have before, and to tell stories the community cares about. We're sort of, one of our inaugural things is going to be a video profile of our new mayor, which our staff are going to be working with the mayor about. And as we are getting the technology around this settled, we're planning content. We want to do this well. We want to be spectacular. We want to win an Emmy. And we want to also create processes that are documentable and repeatable and well done. So it's very exciting. It's very frightening. It's also crazy fun. And I also want to huge thanks for the people behind the blinds in there. Specifically, you know, this is kind of a rolling soft launch across multiple months in 2024, but a huge thanks to Josh Lynn, our digital engagement manager, his creativity, his drive, his brilliance, his wanting to make this something wonderful, and to Andrew Ebright, who is like this technological savvy. He always comes with a fix-it, I tell you. He's super professional and hardworking, and he knows this business in a way that we don't. They have driven this. They have created it. This is what you're seeing is their vision. All I did is really talk about pizza. So that's it. So thank you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Any questions or comments from council? Councilmember Parsley, followed by Mayor Pro Tem, followed by Councilmember Madrone.
So how many people do you have to thank when we win the Emmy?
Oh, everybody, you guys.
No, well done, Kelly and team behind the blinds. It's supposed to be a curtain, but blinds work good. Just thank you.
Thank
It's
you.
a lot of work.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Nguyen.
Wow. Yeah, also the graphics looks so great. Oli TV 3. Really, really polished. I just wanted to add some gratitude as well. Really, really excited for us, and so impressed by you, by your team, and it's not just pizza you talked about, I'm sure. So I really appreciate your leadership with this, and I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ditto. Councilmember Madrone.
I was going to say the same thing. I doubt the only thing you did was talk about pizza. Because here you've curated this wonderful team of folks to support us in being more transparent and creating more access to the public for the business that we do as a city. And I think that's really cool. And it sounds like it was an enormous body of work. And it sounds like it might have been a bit stressful too. And it's so funny because like last week, I'm sure you guys were sitting here like, oh my gosh, I hope nothing goes wrong. And like kind of on the edge of your seats. I didn't even notice that something was different, which means that it went wonderful. And that's got to be kind of hard sometimes where when your job's going well when people don't notice. So I'm glad that we have you here sharing this with us, with the public today, so that we do spend some time and notice and thank you and congratulate you on this really, really important work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well said. Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor Payne, and thank you, Kelly and team. It is really exciting. And I just have a question. Will this eventually integrate back into Granicus so you can see the media link on the agenda page where it used to be before COVID? Because right now, when you go to the agenda page, all you see is the Zoom sign up to be able to watch the meeting. So just something, a curiosity as you move along.
I'm going to say, I don't know.
That's good enough. But now I've brought it up.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Thank you.
She's looking at the blinds.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you so much, Kelly.
Thank you.
And with that, I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved. So moved.
I need it. All those in favor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have an agenda. So next on our agenda is special recognition, beginning with our swearing-in ceremony for our newly appointed city council member, whom we just appointed last night, Robert Vanderpool. Robert was sworn in, or excuse me, Councilmember Vanderpool was legally sworn in earlier today by our city clerk. This is just for ceremonial purposes, but he will be sworn in by his mother this evening. So with that, we will begin. And Councilmember Vanderpool will be, his oath will be administered by his mother, Julie Willoughby, for the record.
Hello. Councilmember Vanderpool, please hold up your hand and repeat after me. I, Robert Morgan Vanderpool, do solemnly affirm that I am a citizen of the United States and of the state of Washington.
I, Robert Vanderpool, solemnly swear. Hey, Mom, could you cut it up into smaller segments? The clerk did it in smaller segments.
That I am a citizen of the United States and the state of Washington.
That I am a citizen of the United States and the state of Washington.
That I will support the Constitution of the laws of the United States.
That I will support the, can you please repeat? I'm sorry.
That I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States.
And the Constitution and the laws of the state of Washington.
And the Constitution and the laws of the state of Washington.
As well as Olympia city ordinances.
As well as Olympia city ordinances.
And will, to the best of my judgment, skill, and ability.
And will, to the best of my judgment, skill, and ability.
Faithfully, diligently, and impartially.
Faithfully, diligently, and impartially.
Perform the duties of the office of City Council, position number 6.
Yeah, I'm sorry, can you please repeat?
Yep. Perform the duties of the office of
Perform the duties of the office of
City Council, position number 6.
City Council, position number 6.
In and for the city of Olympia, Washington.
In and for the city of Olympia, Washington.
As such duties are prescribed by law.
As such duties are prescribed by law.
Well done, Mom. Thank you. All right. Well, with that, I'd like to turn it over to Councilmember Vanderpool for a few comments.
Yeah. The best I can do in the next 2 years is study, collaborate, and pass good policy. It will be for the public to judge my actions, and for this, I thank the council for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate each and one of you. Thank you.
Yes, and Ms. Willoughby, my understanding is you have a few comments you'd like to make?
Of course. Robert, as you know him, but Bobby to me, has always been interested in helping with his community and making an impact through government service. As a youngster, Bobby did many community service projects through his work with Boy Scouts and with the church. He was and always has been willing to talk to anyone about government, regardless of their political beliefs. Bobby has worked full-time while obtaining both his bachelor's and master's at Evergreen, and has seeked out ways to help his community through volunteering on various committees. I have no doubt that the council and the city of Olympia will soon see his strong work ethic and his commitment to work for positive change. So proud of you, Council Member Vanderpool.
Any other comments from council? Mayor Pro Tem Nguyen.
Oh, that was so beautiful. I think that really that moment really filled the room with lots of smiles and a couple of teary eyes, I think, including myself. What a whirlwind. It was just last night, right? Think about how you were feeling this time last night. How amazing is that? I am so looking forward to working together. I'm looking forward to learning from you. I am looking forward to supporting you in your journey in the next couple of years. I didn't really know what to expect from any of the interviewees that we had last night. And every time you spoke, I was blown away. I was so excited about sometimes seemingly dry documents, but very important ones. And you reference these plans that we have. You clearly know what's going on, and kind of have your a finger on the pulse, as much as information as you can glean about the city of Olympia and its happenings, and what we ought to do. Right? Some ideas about that as well. And you said. You talked about these things that I hear all the time, and I have for the last few years being on council, and it was reinvigorating hearing it from you. It was exciting. It was in a way that I've never heard before. And I remember you saying I think the second to last question about what might you be most interested to learn or engage with, and you were talking about the intersection of long-range planning with other really important policy priorities, right? Like equity, like climate. Although I think you have quite a few opinions about that, maybe, it sounded like. Anyways, I'm so excited. I think this is a really big win. I've enjoyed just bumping into you in different areas of our community and having you just go government. You'll just come up and you'll just tell me about, hey, I've been really looking into something. And, there's been times where I'm like, dude, we're like at a yard sale right now. And I really enjoyed it. I really have. And I think I'll continue to enjoy our working time together. So thank you for applying. Thank you for preparing and interviewing so well. And thank you for accepting and contributing your skills to us and to our city. Yeah, really, really neat.
Well said. Councilmember Parsley.
Welcome, Councilmember Vanderpool. I'm going to have to get that rolling off my tongue a little bit. You made in your statement that you're going to learn from us. I suspect we're going to learn from you. And that's how this works. There's 7 of us up here. And every time someone says, but wait a minute, or looks into the pause and says, have you thought about? And I suspect you're going to be one of those people. And I loved your answer last night on the budget. I'm a budget geek. When you separated the budget into things that we are responsible for and the policy portion of our budget, that was really insightful. So thank you. And by the way, you did really well with the swearing in. It's a pretty emotional moment. And if people get too many words out, your emotions are like clogging, you did really well. So welcome.
Councilmember Madrone, followed by Councilmember Gilman.
Welcome, Councilmember Vanderpool. So Mayor Pro Tem Nguyen mentioned these documents as being dry, and they're so cool, and they're so interesting. And
I said important.
I'm so glad to have somebody nerd out with me on land use and housing and transportation. So I think actually our three, who are get most wonky on that are on this side of the dais over here. But one thing that really struck me in the interview with you yesterday is that you just had a very authentic presence to you. You seemed very comfortable. You were joking, and you seemed very comfortable. It felt like a conversation more than an interview, and I really, really appreciate that. And your mom mentioned your strong work ethic, and I totally believe that. Just looking over your just life experience that was part of your application packet, and I'm really grateful that you put your name in for it, and I am excited to serve alongside you.
Councilmember Gilman.
Thank you, Mayor Payne. I was going to try saying it first. Councilmember Vanderpool, I'm really pleased that you've joined us on council, and I think as everybody said, we're here to be resources. It's kind of like a fire hose. When you first come on, as you get through the first cycle of all the kinds of meetings, and then I would just say, trust but verify everything we tell you.
Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor Payne. I was trying to think of some wise piece of advice, but Councilmember Gilman beat me to the punch. Welcome, Councilmember Vanderpool. It's great to have you seated up here, and it was a pleasure to get to know you through the process, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of trouble we can get into together as a fellow scout, and I know we have some of that similar background now, and we'll see if we can have maybe we could set up a feats of strength wonkiness test and see who is the most wonky in the city council. Anyway, welcome. It's great to have you here.
Yes, and last but not least, Councilmember Vanderpool, welcome to the Olympia City Council. I said it to all of you last night as candidates, but I mean it today to you specifically as a council member. Thank you for stepping up and being willing to serve at a time like this, especially in local politics. It is a really big deal. It says something about you and your character and who your mom raised you to be. So I will just say that last night, your interview, I think I heard the words genuine, I would say authentic. And I, frankly, was really impressed with how prepared you were. You were referencing your notes. And it's almost as if you anticipated the questions because you had notes to reference to respond to our questions. Really impressive, really thorough and prepared, and I think it speaks to how you will show up as a council member. So I'm really looking forward to working with you, and welcome. All right, so with that, we will move on to our next special recognition, item 2B on our agenda, which is a proclamation recognizing Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and the council will have a shared reading, and then we will present the proclamation to Bishop Charlotte Petty from Raising Faith Fellowship, who's here to receive the proclamation this evening.
Whereas the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. dedicated his life to the nonviolent crusade for human rights for all people and advanced the values of equality, justice, and opportunity for all, and
Whereas Dr. King's words and vision resonate today as they did in his lifetime, and it is incumbent upon all of us to carry forward his principles of peace, equality, and service, and
Whereas, as the forces of hate and oppression rise up in the world, Dr. King reminds us that the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice, and
Whereas in his struggle for human rights, Dr. King was committed to economic justice as well as social justice. And in his 1964 Nobel Peace Prize address, Dr. King called out poverty as an evil which plagues the modern world. And
Whereas Dr. King encouraged us to act with compassion, saying, as you press on for justice, be sure to move with dignity and discipline, using only the weapon of love. And
Whereas the federal government recognized Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day as a national holiday in law on November 2nd, 1983, and
Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Olympia City Council hereby proclaims Monday, January 15th, 2024, as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day in Olympia and urges the community to pay tribute to the life and the works of Dr. King through participation in the acts of service to the community on this day and throughout the year. Signed in the city of Olympia, Washington, this 9th day of January 2024, Olympia City Council, Dante Payne, Mayor. And I'd like to invite up the bishop to come and receive the proclamation and share a few words if you like.
I want to thank you, and I'm excited because I had the opportunity of meeting Dr. King some years ago. And I was a student at Wayne State University, and I worked in the cafeteria on my lunch hour, and I had the honor of setting the table that he was going to eat lunch at. And I am so excited because all of us need to keep in mind what he proclaimed and what he lived, and that we're all brothers and sisters, and we need to stand for democracy, for freedom, and knowing that, you know, if we treated people like we want to be treated, this world would be a beautiful place to live. Yeah. So please, I encourage our people, and I thank the city of Olympia, but we need to encourage people to vote. And not only that, but to ask for some good sense when they're voting, to realize that it's not about negative stuff, but we all can know the truth, and that's what it's all about. So I thank you for your recognition. I thank you for the work that you're doing, and keep going, because guess what? We need people who are really concerned about the safety, the freedom, and the moving on to higher heights in this world. So thank you so much for what you're doing. And we remember we have an example to follow. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you that I didn't preach, okay?
Perfect sermon.
Thank you very much, Bishop. All right. Well, with that, we're going to take a 5-minute recess, just so that we can enjoy some time as a community to mingle. And also, we'd like to get a photo with you, Bishop, and your husband, with the council as well. So It is now 6:29, and we will recess for 5 minutes. Okay, so we will now move on to public comment. It looks like we have one person signed up this evening. So I'd like to call forward Donald Cease. Just a reminder that you'll have 2 minutes for your comments. There is a clock to my right up here on the wall. And if you do not finish your comments within the first 2 minutes, feel free to email the council the rest of your comments if you like. So, good, thank you. Of course.
So good evening, Mayor Payne, council members of the City of Olympia. My name is Don Cease. I am with the Washington State Department of Veteran Affairs with the Suicide Prevention Team. Tonight I'm here to make a proposal about partnering in helping reduce veteran suicide. For the county of Thurston, there was roughly 37% of all suicides were veteran related, while only making up 9% of the population within this county. By partnering, I'm hoping that we can work together by adding 988 hope emblems, which are similar to this, located on the bottom, sorry if it's small. In doing so, this would help spread awareness and information on resources available for suicide prevention. The funds that go towards this emblem are sent to a grant fund, which would help pay for and support veteran suicide prevention. In addition to this, not only would the 988 process, it was used and replaced the previous 1-800 crisis line number, so it's much easier to remember and recall, and for somebody like me who's struggling right now to remember what I'm supposed to say, I hope it helps everybody else. In doing so, it not only helps veterans, but it also brings awareness for anybody within the community who's experiencing crisis with suicide. I have brought additional materials that I'd love to pass out and share with my contact information and additional information for this topic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cease. Any questions or comments from council? Mayor Pro Tem Nguyen.
Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that without having you open this packet, I think that your public comment is so well received. We have a couple members of our council that are veterans. We have a couple members that have been dedicated to suicide prevention and suicide awareness. Observances every time it comes up each year. We continue as a city to try to strengthen our relationship with our joint base, Lewis McCord, right here, and certainly want to find anything that we can do in order to help this very important cause. So I'm really, really looking forward to diving in and working with my colleagues to figure out how we can partner. Thank you for coming.
Councilmember Parsley, followed by Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you for being here. We spoke a little bit before the meeting. 37%.
Correct.
That's sort of jaw-dropping and astounding. I agree with our Mayor Pro Tem that I look forward to partnership, especially as we roll around to this Suicide Prevention Month and a resolution. It would be lovely to partner with you and the wording and how we put it together, but other actions that we potentially can do as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor Payne, and thank you, Don. I'm an Army veteran myself, and I think it's really important that we raise this conversation in our community. And I actually would be really interested in how fast we could come up with a number of vehicles and a price tag to participate in this for our fleet, because I think it's an excellent idea to set an example in the community. So I am seeing the city manager, so he's probably going to have something to say when the mayor feels it's appropriate.
Sure, City Manager Burnham.
Thank you. I didn't see that coming. Since he's sitting right next to Kelly Drake with the City of Olympia, I'll get a lot of info from Kelly, and then we'll get some data from our fleet team. I think this is an amazing opportunity for really, I see a pretty small investment to make a meaningful difference in our community. So we'll reach out. I got a copy of your packet as well, and we'll make a connection here through Kelly, and get some information and get back to council once we have it all sorted out.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think it's all been said, but as a veteran, thank you very much for being here and advocating for this. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for your time.
Of
You guys
course.
have a great night.
Good night. That's a good idea. All right. So with that, that concludes public comment for this evening. And I need a motion to approve tonight's consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of approving tonight's consent calendar, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Consent calendar is adopted. Okay, so that takes us to our only item of business this evening, and that is item 6A, which is to receive a briefing on the exclusive negotiation agreement with Island Enterprises Incorporated for the city-owned property at 900 Plum Street. Presented to us by our Economic Development Director, Mike Reed.
Well, thank you. Just for the record again, my name is Mike Reed. I'm the city's Economic Development Director. Thank you for having me tonight. A special greeting and welcome, new Councilmember Vanderpool. I'm really looking forward to being able to work with you, and welcome to the team. So, as mentioned, tonight this is just a briefing. There's no action required or affiliated with this, but I am here to brief you on a development. Let's see, next slide. Here we go. So in 2021, it was actually October 7th, 2021, we entered into an accord, the City of Olympia did, with the Squaxin Island tribe. And this accord identified a series of shared objectives, goals, commitments that we were making to one another. One of those, and I really want to call that out, it says here, and it's underlined there, that we wanted to coordinate and cooperate to support economic and infrastructure opportunities. As your economic development director, I took that objective very seriously and began to work with the staff over at the Squaxin Island Tribe and their affiliated economic development arm, Island Enterprises. Shortly after this, and frankly even before it, we were meeting, but we ramped up our meetings to be able to look at various opportunities of ways that we could partner and work with each other and explore opportunities. So, as mentioned, Island Enterprises is the economic development arm of the Squaxin Island Tribe. I just want to call out their mission because I think it's a powerful mission, and I love how directly it ties economic development work to the people that you serve. So, Island Enterprises Incorporated, or IEI, as you may hear me mention, or refer to them as, is dedicated to the development, acquisition, and or attraction of economic ventures that will enable the Squaxin Island Tribe to realize its dream of self-sufficiency and self-governance. That's, I think, a very powerful mission. So we started working and exploring on opportunities and ways that we could work together. I went and actually toured all of the Island Enterprises economic development and business ventures. I invited them into the city. We did a lot of walking tours and looked for ways in which we could partner and find a way to bring Island Enterprises into Olympia, to have a physical footprint to expand their opportunities here. I'm actually gonna come back to that slide. Where we landed, interestingly, and relatively recently, is the city owns a piece of property that I think we're all very familiar with. It is the former City Hall site, also referred to as the Lee Creighton Justice Center. We closed the jail there back in 2022. Right now, it's actually a relatively underutilized site, all things considered. It's over 10 acres, almost 10 and a half acres. And as we were exploring potential sites and potential opportunities, we kept kind of coming back to this, going, what if we explored how we could use maybe this or this site or this location to bring forward an opportunity for the Island Enterprises. So we then moved towards what we would call an exclusive negotiation agreement. And let me talk to you about what that is and what it isn't. So an exclusive negotiation agreement, it's just a commitment that we're making to each other to enter into a due diligence period or a feasibility period in which we're mutually committed to each other. That there's no one's gonna pull the rug out mid-process. As you're starting to invest energy and resources and staff time, you wanna know that your partner is there with you. And an exclusive negotiation agreement is a document that articulates those shared and committed steps that you'll be taking to each other. So it's a commitment to explore possibilities for future uses of the property. It assures that both properties are exclusively committed to each other for a period of time. It identifies your shared goals and maybe mutual commitments. It's a tool to reassure that due diligence and planning work can be done successfully, and it's designed to help potential future negotiations. What you're trying to do is identify where might there be some issues that we're going to have to sort out, or maybe barriers or concepts or ideas. What an ENA is not, it is not a purchase and sale agreement. That would come later. It is not a development concept or a development agreement. And it will not immediately impact on-site activities or property uses. So we are still using that property as an example. We have the Yashiro Garden on there. We have the Plum Street Village on that property. This exploration process does not impact those projects immediately. So what have we done? We have entered into an exclusive negotiation agreement specifically for this property. We signed it on December 27th. It's a 180-day agreement. So it will allow Island Enterprises and the city to start some of that due diligence and visioning for what we could do with that property and how Island Enterprises could use that. One of the commitments that we are making as a part of that agreement is that we would forego any negotiations for the sale or lease of the property with any interested parties for the term of the agreement. Said differently, we're not going to be talking to other people, even if they were to come to us. We want to give all of the right and potential to imagine and contemplate potential uses specifically and exclusively to Island Enterprises for that period of time. What Island Enterprises is going to commit to do at that same period of time is to develop some project concepts and scenarios with the property. We want them to vision and imagine what they could do with that. We are making a mutual commitment to each other that both parties will provide the necessary staff, resources, and access to the property to be able to do the necessary due diligence to examine what could be done there. And then finally, both parties are committing that the intention of this, if we do reach successful outcome, that we would be presenting to our specific elected bodies and decision makers a purchase and sale agreement that would help memorialize and move forward this transaction. So that is it. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any comments from the dais? Councilmember Madrone.
I just want to comment that this is really exciting. I know that it's been a long time coming with your work with the tribe building relationships and with IEI, and to have something that is, exploratory, but still something that we're working on together in the economic development realm, that makes me very, very happy. So thanks for your work. And I guess I do have a question in terms of, so there'll be a 180-day period, and then are you going to be back in front of us with any findings?
Yes.
What happens at the end of this agreement?
Yeah, one of the other things that's actually in the agreement is that we built into the agreement that we will be meeting on a bi-weekly basis to advance this project, staff to staff, exploring things like everything from a potential negotiation, how do we determine the value of the property, what sort of impacts could there be. So we're meeting every week or every other week. I'm meeting with them tomorrow, in fact. And I think that what we would anticipate is at the end of the 180 days, we need to bring you either a decision of, hey, we're moving forward and this is what a transaction would look like, and we would need your approval on that, or if it doesn't come together, I think coming back to you and saying, here's some of the challenges, or here's what we found. So I would entirely imagine that we would be bringing forward or bringing back at the terminus of the agreement some sort of reporting as to, and hopefully a potential action that brings this to reality.
Thank you so much. And
Yeah.
and if not a potential action, you never know, but stronger relationships and what's next, if not this, then what? And so I'm just really, really glad that you're working on this. And I can also just see how you are while talking about it, and I can tell you are so excited.
I am very excited about this, so thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Gilman.
I just want to express my excitement about this possibility. And I think that it would be such a sweet outcome if we were to have the former City Hall become a new enterprise managed by our Squaxin Island friends and neighbors. That there's some poetic justice in that would really, I think, be both valuable to have them downtown and sweetly symbolic. So.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, so we will move on to council reports, and I will start to my left with Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor Payne. Nothing to report.
Councilmember Parsley.
Just when you thought there might go down the dais, I actually participated in the very first Thurston Collaborative Climate Steering Committee meeting. They got a new name. TCMC, I think, is the name of it. And we met for the first time yesterday, and we got to meet our new facilitators, and I had the name here. I think it is Municipal Sustainable Cities Institute. And they're going to be running our meetings. They're going to be fulfilling the role of TRPC in terms of what a TRPC used to do. They're also going to be managing the Community Action Work Group. We got an update on the Community Action Work Group. They redid their whole process to make it more equitable. They had outreach into communities, intentional outreach. They had postings. They did websites. The first time around when we had the call for members, we only had 20 applicants. This time we had 48. And what we found out, which was very cool, cross ages, it was almost an equal pie chart. There was no predominance of people over a certain age or under a certain age. In terms of inclusion of income, it was almost matched all the way around the pie chart, from very low income to very high income. So they were looking at their demographics before they even looked at who the people were to make sure they had an adequate cross-section of Thurston County. And then they also looked at some of the other demographics, including race, self-identification for LGBTQ. And what they found is that we actually exceeded our current demographics in certain race groups as well as our LGBTQ. So this was a success compared to the first time around, where we failed in all of those areas. So it was excellent. They learned a lot of important lessons. They're going to improve it next time around. And we have all of the people seated, and it's a very excellent group. Then we received an update on the forestry plan from the DNR and the struggles for Thurston County. We did not get any of our acreages of the structurally, as they put it, it's no longer the legacy forest, but they're structurally complex forests. We asked for over 2,000 acres to be put aside in the DNR plan. We received none of them. They're almost entirely Pierce County and King County. So they asked for us to write a letter to the DNR and the group that has been started, which is a board that's supposed to be reviewing their decisions based on fairness and whether they are actually evaluating the lands they're setting aside as structurally complex instead of just based on monoculture and so forth. So I signed the letter, and we're going to send that out. We may be bringing a letter back to each of the jurisdictions to sign as well to support the county. And then lastly, we got an update on the regional initiative, which our city manager is going to be showing you more, so I'm not going to keep going. But basically, we got a timeline And it's expected by October that we will be, October, November, we will start seeing an ILA and an ordinance for energy efficiency audits, as well as the campaign that's going to be going forward, and some of the exciting work that's actually underway with the campaign, which was expected last year to take longer than the ordinance. The campaign is actually going to be ahead, and by April, we may even have a specific incentives, programs, access on the web, education for homeowners. Just excellent work by the staff from all 4 jurisdictions.
Any questions or comments for Councilmember Parsley? Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Nguyen.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Councilmember Gilman.
Intercity Transit met last week, and just 2 items I wanted to bring to your attention. One was that Intercity Transit received a regional mobility grant to put real-time information as a pilot project at 5 bus stops around town. So now both our buses and bus stops will have the readers that can be reprogrammed in real time. And it's, so I know, you know, smartphones are leading a lot of people's way, but for folks who aren't carrying a smartphone, it's a way to get immediate information about a route that's been rescheduled or whatever else is happening. So I'm excited about that. And then we had a report on the community van program, and several folks at the city had an experience with them when we had the students from Cato come. That we checked. Jim was one of our drivers, checking out the community vans. So the program is 8 van pool vans at Intercity Transit that are available for nonprofits in the community to check out. And so groups like the city for the youth exchange, the Parks Department for some of the summer camps, Nova School, Sacred Heart for their overflow winter shelter, Interfaith Works, those sorts of organizations. So last year we had 268 trips made by organizations who provided their own drivers, and that was 136 different drivers on those trips. So one small policy change we're making is now we're asking the organizations to do the vetting their drivers themselves rather than having people come to Intercity and get approved as drivers. So we might distribute that work a little bit, because having a different driver for every other trip means a lot of checking people's driving record and insurance and et cetera. So at any rate, it's a great program, and that's just one I haven't highlighted before, that there's those 8 vans out running around every week helping nonprofits move people. So.
Any questions or comments for Councilmember Gilman? Mayor Pro Tem Nguyen, followed by Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you, Councilmember Gilman. I'm curious about the readers. I'm sort of envisioning like maybe a small kiosk at a bus stop. Is that right? So could you talk a little bit more about what that reader is, or sort of, and then also, is it a pilot and then hoping to expand, and so it sounds like there's 5 and some choice locations. So I'm actually really curious as to how did Intercity Transit decide where to place them?
So in order, first it's about a 4-foot wide box about this high with, you know, illuminated letters that scroll by and tell you Route 66 on detour. Next coach arrives in 33 minutes, you know, that sort of thing, right? It goes by. And in times when there's not a disruption, it just tells you that 62A in 6 minutes, 62B in 13 minutes. Several larger systems have had these up and running. In terms of placement, they'll start at the busiest intersections besides the actual transit centers. We'll start from there and work out to less busy intersections and hubs where routes cross as we receive more. So it's a pilot in that the grant we received had enough funding to put in 5 and set up the technology, but not a pilot in that we're evaluating and thinking that it might not work, I guess. You know,
Right,
it's
right,
anticipating that we'll expand the opportunity.
Yeah.
And if I may just to expand a little bit more, this is partly driven by new communication technology. Like we've been talking about for our first responders, we now have real-time tracking of all the buses and easier communication with the operators. And so there's more information to share with folks. So so it's partly driven by having access to more information about where the buses are and what obstacles are in their way. And then partly by the technology to share that information.
Very cool.
Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor Payne. Councilmember Gilman, I just want to pass along a huge shout out to the staff team at Intercity Transit. It was probably the worst time for them to be hosting community events in the history of the world, given the massive amount of construction that was happening, and every single day the site was different. And so they were just friendly and courteous and helping people navigate and sort of helping people like figure out where to put their car for the day while they were driving a van and there was no room inside. And so I'm impressed with the operation there. And former Senator Frazier and I got to drive the kids around for most of that week and while they were visiting from Cato's sister city, and it was a huge blessing to the Olympia Cato Sister City Association to be able to engage in that asset in our community. So keep up the good work.
I will pass along that appreciation.
Okay, Councilmember Vanderpool, anything to report in the last 22 hours?
Nothing, but hopefully soon.
Good answer.
Councilmember Madrone.
Nothing to report.
Okay, yes, and I neglected to kick things off with the mayor's report. So I just wanted to share an update for our retreat. So the council's annual retreat, which is taking place this upcoming Friday, January 12th, and Saturday, January 13th, will no longer be held in the lot boardroom due to the anticipation of inclement weather. So we will be moving the location for our council retreat on both days to the city council chambers. Also tomorrow, I will be delivering my very first State of the Community speech. Wouldn't call it an address, it's like 5 minutes. Tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. at St. Martin's University campus. And also, I wanted to just mention that, again, there will be a Martin Luther King Day Junior Day event at New Life Baptist Church in Lacey on Monday, January 15th, beginning at 1 p.m., where I will be delivering a few remarks. And with that, we'll go to our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor Payne. Nothing to report other than I think a lot of department directors will be there to watch you deliver your first State of the City, and we couldn't be more proud to be there watching.
Excellent. Thank you.
We'll be on Channel 3.
That's a great question. Will it be on Channel 3?
Live stream it from your phone.
No.
On location.
Yeah, we'll work on that in the future, though.
Yeah, sounds great. Okay. Well, with no further business before the Olympia City Council, we're adjourned.
Now we have to.